fast curve creatures. These are creatures that if they stick, they just can take over the game offensively. Especially you can knock blockers out of the way with a variety of stuff that he's got in his deck, and they're winners. And then he's got heavy card advantage creatures in Snapcaster Mage, Restoration Angel, then a stack of different things you can do. Various kinds of charms, Pillar of Flame, Searing Spear, various counterspells, Sphinx's Revelation. Literally, you can do anything.
And Barrett with green-white humans on the play with a turn 1 Avacyn's Pilgrim off of Forest.
And
turn 2 Thalia. Could be quite good.
No second land, though.
Yes.
So, say you've got a pillar. Which one do you kill?
Probably the mana creature, assuming that I have additional land drops to make. But V is just going to pass the turn with a Glacial Fortress.
Is that a perimeter captain?
Yeah, the mana base on the green-white humans deck I feel is pretty ambitious. Silverblade, Paladin, and Champion of the Parish combined with green mana creatures. Not always easy to cast everything.
Oh, and Smiter.
Alright, so we'll get to see how good the Smiter is. Pretty good once you have Thalia in play.
So, let's see. What kind of good answers do we have here? He has Detention Sphere, which can fight a Smiter. But other than that, nothing else straight up. I mean, unsummoning it.
Yeah.
But he has to deal with the Thalia before he really gets into any kind of further conversations. So something's coming down. Geist, maybe?
Maybe an Izzet Charm?
Maybe. I don't know what it is.
Kill one of the dorks. Yeah, we have an Izzet Charm. Or was it?
I think it's Searing Spear.
Searing Spear for the mana creature.
So I mean, he has to have a plan then if he's taking that guy out.
Yes.
Looks like it's going to be 6 in, right? Does he have a lot of boosty spells?
Rancor, yes, 4 copies of Rancor.
So this is more like the Raptor version of green-white, right?
Yes.
Not the Kibler version, which is like all mid-rangey stuff and no spells.
Yeah, a little more utility-oriented, not just a beatdown deck.
Which one's Angelic Overseer?
Do not...
My internet keeps dropping.
Yeah, I remember. Sublime Archangel, obviously, I remember, but not. And there is a turn 4 Champion of the Parish. Not the best timing. Yeah, the green-white human deck seems like its mana base is so ambitious.
Yeah, so he can't even cast his captain, right? That's WW.
Yeah.
And 4 down. Angelic Overseer.
All right, so now we have a Detention Sphere for the Smiter. Again, paying 1 to pay for the Thalia. And V's hand must be fairly land-heavy if he's willing to just...
ignore the Thalia.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a second white, and he's going to pay full for... No, let's see.
Silverblade Paladin, I assume.
Oh, and who's he going to pair with? Pair with Thalia?
Yeah, Thalia makes the...
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, he could pair with the upside is much greater if he pairs with Champion, right?
Yeah, I guess he... Yeah, it's probably the same. Maybe you want to pair with a guy that you would prefer for him to kill, but it's so marginal, I guess. And with a perimeter captain in hand. Ooh.
Angelic, so a 5/3 for 5. And it's a pretty powerful bonus if you have a lot of humans, right?
Yes.
All right, so...
It seems ambitious to believe you're going to get to...
untap with humans in play.
Yeah, and then that text box matters somehow.
Well, if you Supreme Verdict with a human and that thing in play, what happens?
You keep it.
You keep it. It kills the human, and you keep that guy for now.
Yes.
All right. But not that... I don't believe that V has main deck Supreme Verdict. No. Sideboard Supreme Verdict? Yes, 2 in the sideboard.
So VD tanking here. Not clear if he even has a 5th land right now, but...
And...
Gonna pass.
Do you think he just didn't give sufficient respect to Thalia? Or
maybe. It's hard to know without getting a good look at his hand exactly how he was trying to sculpt the game. Maybe he was anticipating hitting a 5th land drop.
Sure. So, I think... Is Kroeger going to play his creatures out to boost that champion? So
I suppose so. It's, you know...
That boosts all humans, yeah? The mayor?
Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
Yep.
Yeah. So the champion was in fact paired with the Silverblade Paladin, so he could have been an 8 or so damage from that.
Yeah,
this
a lot.
turn.
Yeah, I mean, certainly time is not on Barrett's side in that position. And even if you suspect he has Supreme Verdict, it's like leaving the perimeter captain or the mayor back in your hand after you get Wrath is unlikely to be, with VD's 5-card hand, unlikely to be enough to take it. So it's just better to go for it there.
So this is a matchup where Geist of St. Trapped is among at its worst, right?
Yes,
There's
absolutely.
just a million guys that can block it. Most of them can block it and beat it, right?
Yeah, they have first strike or
they're
3/3s or
4/4/4. So that's relatively weak. You know, Snapcaster Mage is great here if you have the pillar, right? Pillar, to a lesser extent, Searing Spear and one of the 2-mana charms are pretty good with Snapcaster, but it's great with pillar. I think Dissipate's pretty bad. Counterflux is pretty bad. I'd like to see. Would you see Geist out?
I would try to cut Geist if possible. I mean, it's possible that if I were in this matchup, I would try to just turn into a more
removal that removal card advantage.
Yes, just removal and planeswalkers and Snapcaster Mages and get rid of the weird, like the counter spells. Like be more of a board control deck, I think is how you would want to position yourself.
So more focus. It's like, so the strength of this deck is that in game 1 it's so flexible. It can do 20 different things. But it seems like Kroeger's pushing so hard in one direction that VD just didn't have remotely enough stuff to defend that one vector.
Yes. It looked actually, VD. I thought VD was actually going, and it's hard to say again without seeing his hand, but it seemed like he was pacing the game in such a way that he was going to be able to take control.
And he was going to. It seemed like his decisions, like killing the Avacyn's Pilgrim, hiding the Smiter instead of the Thalia, were like he was progressing towards something.
Yeah, it implies that there was a script he was following of this is how I want to set up this Wrath or this Sweeper or this, whatever the case. So I'd be interested to see what his hand was like because I feel like there must have been a piece he was anticipating that didn't quite show up. On Barrett's side, he has the sideboard cards that seem good to me here are an additional copy of Thalia. He can go up to 4. And Rootborn Defenses.
Rootborn Defenses is great. Like the blue-white-red mid-range deck is just going to invest so much value in trying to resolve a Supreme Verdict and then bam. Or even just combat, right? Just guys brawl.
Siding into Rootborn Defenses, having your control playing against control be Rootborn Defense plus full playset of Thalia is a little awkward, but it's likely you can cobble it together.
How many lands has he got? 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13, 19. He's at 23 lands, and his curve's relatively low.
And he has Pilgrim too, I guess. But yeah, it's the mana. I know I've said this multiple times now, but the mana base on these decks seems awfully ambitious for a pretty sensitive beatdown deck. Like the timing matters.
It can't really fix its draw either, right? It's not like he's got a whole lot of Think Twices or Thought Scours or even Borderland Rangers, right? To fix his land position.
It's Caverns. Caverns is the nice fix that he has.
Caverns and Selesnya Charm are not friends.
This is true. Well, you're making some sort of concession somewhere, right? There's no way this deck can comfortably cast all the spells it's trying to cast in a timely fashion.
I think I would take out that Angelic Overseer. It seems expensive, and it seems like we might want to do some other stuff.
I mean, it's fine once it's in play. You know what I mean? That's just the issue.
I mean, that's the definition of any viable 5-drop card.
Right. The Adam Chambers School of Limited Play. It's just like, once it's in play, it's really good.
So
just getting there.
How's Riders of Gavin? That's more for like busting through, right?
Yeah, it's more creature mirrors. Maybe he wants another Oblivion Ring, anticipating more of a Planeswalker suite out of VD. But yeah, once you have a full playset of Thalias, the spell is just, you have to view them in a much different prism. I would be a lot more apprehensive about trying to go much more spell heavy once you're fully Thalia'd out. You just get draws where you just can't curve out efficiently.
Rest in Peace just doesn't have enough card advantage here, right? Like,
no.
We're just talking about basically against Snapcaster Mage. There's no fundamental flashbacks we're really fighting.
Right. This is true.
Staticaster is going to be awesome for VD.
How many does he have?
3.
Yes.
It fights around Thalia. It has flash. It can actually block a fair amount of his guys.
Yeah.
And it's obviously a murderer.
Right. The green-white creature decks historically have not been very good against Prodigal Sorcerer, and this is a much, 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 much more powerful Prodigal Sorcerer. So I definitely like VD's deck in the matchup a lot more after board. Which is just historically the way that it works against, I think, control versus beatdown, where
He can focus.
yeah, he gets to shave out his garbage and put in awesome stuff.
Not a lot of negates in his deck in game 2.
Right, exactly. Whereas, you know, Barrett gets to improve some stuff around the hedges, but he doesn't get to fundamentally change what his deck is doing.
But I mean, it looked to me like this was a decisive matchup in favor of white-green humans in game 1.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, VD had a, you know, Barrett stumbled with his mana, certainly. VD stumbled with his mana, certainly, and, you know, Barrett wasn't able to curve out super efficiently, but... And VD also had removal sort of just along the chain, too. He was able to kill a guy on the 3rd and 4th turn. And Barrett was still able to overpower him in large part because of Silverblade Paladin. Which is a card that in the office last week Kibler referred to as a trap.
Silverblade Paladin?
Yes.
It's no Wolfear Avenger in his mind, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He loves Wolfear Avenger.
I think it's more of a mana-based thing. So Barrett with a mulligan, looking and looks like keeping 6.
I'm not a huge fan of Silverblade Paladin either. It's like a gray ogre a lot of the time, right?
When it's awesome, you remember it, but you know, those kind of swingy cards just stick out in players' heads. And certainly has its spots of being insane, but what it does to the mana is pretty unpleasant.
What do we have? Plains.
And a champion.
Can't complain.
Sure.
There's no gather in this deck, right?
No gather.
So he can't run the slow play 3rd turn champion gather to get around Pillar.
No. Gather plus Thalia also not awesome together. Not the best pairing.
Just wondering, because like that's an important wrinkle that some versions of humans have, right?
Yes.
That like, you know, your opponent has just played a red dual land. Presumably he's playing, I mean, we know he's playing Pillar of Flame. Mm-hmm. Exposing a 1st turn champion is possibly not what you want to do in that spot.
Yeah. All right. So we have an Avacyn's Pilgrim. And I think that Barrett was debating between that card and Rancor. He has a Rancor in his hand.
Can't play them both.
This is true.
And what's this going to be? Azorius Charm, maybe?
All right.
Nothing?
V's just going to take the shot.
What's he afraid of? Faith's Shield? Oh no, Searing Spear is the other guy.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Probably implies that there's a pillar or something in his hand to deal with the champion. Oh, we do have Geist.
Saint Traft.
I'm surprised the card is still present.
I mean, maybe he structured his deck like he can just burn through everything that's planning to block it, but I'm skeptical.
Yeah, it's a tough position to take in this matchup. I think that's the removal Planeswalker. I
mean, against 30 creatures,
yeah,
it's really an aggressive position to be in. Honestly, certainly on the draw next game, presumably we get to game 3, I think it just gets even worse.
Yeah.
So what do we have here? 2nd champion.
So that gets him up to a 3/3.
But there was 2 tapped, right? And then Rancor.
No, he put a Temple Garden into play tapped.
Okay.
So VD presumably is not going to chump block here and just fall to 13. And Barrett still has Silverblade Paladin in his hand and castable next turn. So if
I mean, this could just be...
If VD drops his gloves, he can just die.
Wham bam.
Yeah.
Is that Moorland Haunt?
That is Moorland Haunt. Although I think VD, is that a Detention Sphere in his hand? This would be a pretty good time to have one.
I would actually argue that if he had a Detention Sphere, that he shouldn't even have exposed the opportunity to
let him chump.
Let him chump. Just use it. And maybe he's got an Azorius Charm that he wants to get to. You don't even get that much. Like,
right, there it is.
Yeah, I would just really have just rather just won that prior.
Maybe there's a different play that he makes if he chumps.
He has to contain the Rancor huge guy no matter what, though, right?
Not necessarily. I mean, maybe he can actually just use a Searing Spear or something if there's a chump.
That looked like a pants down situation to me. I don't want to walk into a spot where Faith's Shield is going to burn me.
Sure. All right, so yeah, Silvery Paladin and Ranker on it.
Doesn't have first strike yet, right?
No, has to actually be, has to have a buddy.
So this is a good exposure then if it doesn't have first strike. I mean, is there a percentage of players that actually just trade Z there?
With just block here?
Yeah, just block.
I think it's really rough when you're light on gas and Vidia's Moreland Haunt to trade here. I think you just have to take your lumps and hope, you know, you find a creature and Vidia just doesn't have a way to kill your guy.
That's a heavy fist though. 6 damage.
Yep.
Already only at 14. He's within Searing Spear damage next turn, or Pillar of Flame damage.
Yeah, but it's not like Barrett has any sort of inevitability in the matchup. He just has to try to kill him.
Oh, and there you go. Well, looks like we were out thunk. Guys, St. Travis is in fact gonna carry this one. It looks like right now. Is that lethal zone, right?
Yeah, that's 8. That's 8 next turn.
Exactly lethal, and Beatty's got 3 cards in hand. So Barrett had better have some acrobatics here, or we're gonna be going to game 3 very momentarily. So opens on Knight.
Okay.
Ranker again.
Sure.
And
a Township.
Playing the Township can't be right. You gotta pretend something, right?
All right, so V takes down game 2. So we were, both surprised by the presence of Guys of St. Travis in his deck under board, but it was pretty awesome there.
Burned every creature. I mean, Barrett mulliganed, right?
Yes.
So that had to have been a contributing factor. He was low on a guy, maybe.
Yeah.
And any of his guys almost could have traded with that Geist at many points.
Right. I mean, certainly now with V on the draw, I would be very surprised if it was still there. But it's possible. I mean, it possibly feels Guys of St. Travis is better than something like Thundermaw Hellkite just because it's castable.
Its cheapness?
Yeah.
Thundermaw is so heavy.
It is
and
heavy.
he can block.
Yes.
Like somebody's got. He's big enough to just trade with a double striking Loxodon striker. Like,
He's a big boy.
Like a double striking elephant with Thor's hammer in his hands is taken down by the Hellkite. You know, that's a.
Like, I would prefer to have Thundermaw too, but. And maybe that was only a singleton Geist or something like that. It's not clear that it doesn't imply there's a full play set.
Maybe he's got 2 paradigms though. Maybe his game 3 paradigm is going to be completely different. Maybe he's going removals. Yeah. And the other thing is, if you win that game 2 with Geist on 3rd turn, does that potentially affect how Barrett sideboards for game 3? Maybe Barrett's like, oh, I would have thought he brought out Geist, but instead he beat me down with guys.
Well, where would you want to go? If you're in Barrett's position, how can that influence your sideboard? And the only thing is it would make you more inclined to be cutting spells for additional creatures, right?
I think that how you play, how many Selesnya Charms you have in your deck is one question. Like, he has 3 Selesnya Charms in his main, 1 in his sideboard, right? Mm-hmm. If your opponent's playing with Geist, I would be more inclined to play more Selesnya Charms, even just to get the random during combat play 2.
Ambush. Yeah.
Ambush the Geist. That's one way that it could affect it. Another way that could affect it is, spell balance, like you were saying. Presence of Geist implies a delta increase in the impacts of creature combat. Yeah. So, impacts of creature combat affects things like a lot of the spells, like Rootborn Defenses, Faith's Shield, Selesnya Charm. These are all, and like you were saying, one paradigm that Barrett might have would be to dramatically de-emphasize spell component because he's going up to 4th alias. I think that's something that it's a puzzler,
Yeah.
I don't have a direct expertise in sideboarding green-white against blue-red-white, but I do have a lot of experience in thinking that I might have sideboarded wrong. The first PTQ I ever won, I looked at I won game 1, game 2 I got killed by a Circle of Protection Red. I'm sure you've been there.
Yes.
Okay. And I looked at my sideboarding strategy and I'm like, well, on the play in game 3, if I don't win with my opening hand, I'm not going to win a long game.
Yep.
So I basically went all in on like a disruption attack strategy. I had like a first turn Ice Quake, drew like 3 other land destructions, and killed my opponent's Gnawing Glacier, and he stalled on 3, and my knight got there. And that was it.
Beautiful.
Like, so, I mean, I'm sure you approve, right?
Oh yeah, obviously.
Like, Ritual kill your Thawing Glacier. He was like, man, that stinks. But that strategy can't win a long game, and I'm just staring at my sideboard like I have 10 creatures in my deck. I'm sure he has more wraths than I have creatures.
Turn 1 Tumble Guard and tap for Barrett.
Never want to see that from that side of the table, right?
Yeah. He can cast his spells.
Thalia? What do we have?
Looks like there's a Thalia.
Slam that guy into play.
It seems good to cast here. Yes.
Agreed.
It'll play.
Mountain Pillar. Mountain and Pillar. Yep. So far,
Yep.
this has gone according to book.
Yep. Vidi with a Guru Mountain over there, pretty classy, reasonably classy.
I mean, it's no Arabian Nights, man.
It's more expensive. I kind of think they're tackier, but there's definitely an audience for them. And there's the Smiter, so big, unbelievable how large it is.
Hard to remove with red removal.
Yes, it's been challenging. Yes.
Yep. Pass. Is this going to be 4 or 6? I think oh, is that an additional Thalia?
Yeah, we just drew another Thalia there, it looks like.
You got to play the Rancor first, then. Rancor first, Thalia. Is there a Rancor? Thalia. And bad times for Vidi.
Might let Vidi Searing Spear something this turn. They might let Vidi Searing Spear something this turn.
Sure.
Oh no! Oh no!
Beautiful. Ooh, a Searing Spear is a nice combo here.
Yeah. And now the worm is turned.
What spell is that in Barrett's hand? It looks like a blue card.
No, that's Mayor. I think that's a Mayor.
Is that Mayor?
Not very good right now.
Another card that gets demolished by.
Oh no! Oh no!
Your problem with
Barrett!
killing 4/4 hammer wielders is that you didn't have Tim.
Yeah, no pingers.
All right, excitement. Do you see how the tenor of this game has shifted since the static has like, I don't know if Vidi's gonna be able to just get. Oh.
Yeah, clean, nice and clean.
All right.
Now Barrett has his hand of 2/2s and 1/1 staring down.
2/2s live through that. 2/2 can't fight through it though. Right?
Yeah.
Just bounce off of him. And he's got to go captain, right?
I think he has a
Captain.
I guess he's debating about playing the Mayor.
I think he's got a Silverblade Paladin in his hand. Is that right?
Yes.
He's probably like trying to 2-turn sequences. Otherwise, how is he going to get through?
Yeah.
What a sad Glacial Fortress. Turn 5 tapped Glacial Fortress.
Yeah.
Disgusting. I would retire if I were that Glacial Fortress. You know what? It's been a good run.
Yeah.
We helped Brad Nelson win that Grand Prix once, but turn 5, come in to play tapped. This isn't what I signed up for.
Turn 5, the only basic land play is a mountain. The ignominy of the whole situation is just too much to bear.
I couldn't deal if I were that Glacial Fortress. Is it foil? I mean...
Yes. Oh, yeah. VD's decks are always...
I mean, he's got a fat max contract. He played real well last season. Got 4 years. Time for inefficient shot selection.
Yep. No more reason to do things the right way, right? All right, so we have a Paladin. I think we're going to be locking up with the Captain. I mean, Vidi's hand has to basically be nothing to not be able to handle this sequence somehow. Snapcaster, another kill spell, another Static Caster. I mean, just every card in his deck handled.
Yep. Is it charm? He's just gonna block.
Yeah.
Yep. And I mean, Barrett's hand is just full of targets right now. Right?
Yeah,
that's bad.
The Staticaster is a disaster.
2 Staticasters is just. That's it, right?
And Vidi still has a Searing Spear in his hand. I mean, he's got. At this point, we're just waiting for him to find something to win with, but it's going to be very challenging for Barrett to get out of this.
What was that guy you played that was kind of like a Static? It's like red 1, and it has haste.
Full Shock Sorcerer.
That guy was sweet. He could hit humans.
Yes.
I mean, not these kind of humans, like Patrick Sullivan type humans.
Yeah. Opponents.
But he didn't have quite the blocking of Visit Staticaster.
Yeah.
Not that you've ever blocked in your life.
I've chump blocked a lot.
You probably chump blocked with that guy, and then he got a point in on the way down,
exactly,
right?
yeah.
It's like, I'm going to die, but I'm taking a scratch with me.
That happens all the time. So Vidi, again, added Geist Sustain Trap to his board last turn, so he still can't quite attack because Perimeter Captain has first strike, but there's at least a Searing Spear in his hand. I wouldn't be surprised if...
burns and goes for it.
Yeah, it starts closing this thing out. You don't want to give a bunch of time for Barrett to find an Oblivion Ring or something to get out from the Staticaster and be able to start playing his hand.
You and I just have like no predictive skills on the value of Geist of St. Trapped in this matchup because it looks like this guy's going to mop up again.
Well, I mean, any creature would have been good enough from here. The Staticaster is doing all the work.
So what you're saying is if you have your choice of 3s, you would choose the one with 0 power instead of the one that hits for 6.
Over and over and over and over again. I'd rather have my 4th Staticaster than my first Geist against this deck.
I think I agree.
So yeah. Now, I would imagine B's deciding, like, is it worth killing this basically irrelevant Perimeter Captain to be able to start hitting, or am I happy just hanging back?
Just attacking, actually. Just gonna block. Sir.
Okay.
I can respect that.
Yeah, this is fine. And we still have the Searing Spear to do this next turn, assuming Barrett doesn't add anything too threatening to his board.
And he still hits for 4, and he's got a huge blocker now.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes attacking from Barrett's perspective even more of a far away possibility, right? There's also a 3/4 blocker.
Well, couldn't he have gone Staticaster your guy, Restoration Angel my Staticaster your guy, ship for 6?
That would have been sweet. Yeah, that's way better.
Maybe
he would have actually. Why even give him the option to block then?
I don't know. He could be worried about some pump spell or something. If he's only got one, I guess if he has the Searing Spear backup, it doesn't. It's sort of a free roll.
Yeah, I like your play a lot.
It's fancier.
I mean, it's just he spends the same exact amount of mana, does 2 more damage, and kills the Precinct Captain. I'm not really sure how fancy is the appropriate word.
It's not my place to judge.
That's like, what's that like 10-second stretch when Reggie Miller, when the Knicks were up? I remember watching that live. You know this game?
Yes. So, Restoration in for 3. I think that's going to knock Kroeger down to 13. Kroeger with a nice face for the camera there of frustration of his, I believe it's 5 different 1-toughness creatures in his hand right now.
Is it Staticaster?
Doing work.
I mean, you don't need a peddler to make it
Yeah.
to make it kill creatures apparently.
Yeah, it looks like his hand is, it's like Pilgrim, Knight of Glory, Mayor, I mean, just Benalis Hero and Timberwolves or whatever. I mean, just all guys that are locked out.
Attacking. I think he has a Selesnya charm.
Barrett throwing caution to the wind.
I think you just take here and then just shoot the Saproling, right?
Yeah, it looks like he's not willing to risk either of his creatures in combat.
Why? This is not a race that Barrett can easily win.
Sometimes when I'm in Barrett's position of just getting really beat up, I like to make an attack like this just to see what kind of person my opponent is, how risk averse they are. Not because it matters for winning or losing the game, but I'm just curious.
I mean, he could. You say that VD has a Searing Spear, right?
I believe so.
So he could easily block. Barrett goes for a Selesnya Charm, and then he's just like 2-for-1s in.
Yeah, but at this point, I would just, if I was in VD's position, you're so far ahead that I would just be holding the Searing Spear for some sort of disaster that maybe isn't even on your radar, some card you can't even think of.
I mean, it's just like another Loxodon.
Yeah, something.
The problem here is, well, he's probably going to attack with a Geist, but then he can try to ambush with the Elephant Ambush, right?
Yeah.
Probably going to try.
All right, so we're attacking for 9. It's coming across, and I assume we're going to see a instant speed nadir of the Selesnya Charm.
I'd probably let him just trade if nothing fancy went on.
Yeah, again,
Just hit him for 7.
Yeah, VD's in a very... I would be playing very conservatively if I was VD. Not because I'm losing, but actually because I'm so far ahead that only playing into some weird... Okay, we're just going to kill. Oh, boy. Yeah. Now we got rootbound defenses.
That's actually double bad now. So
yeah.
not only does the spear get countered, but he actually gets to double up the token and just straight up kill the Geist.
Yeah. I mean, if Barrett can find like an Oblivion Ring or something, we might have a game. I mean, or Sublime Archangel, like we're playing again.
This is like a disaster for VD.
Yeah.
Like he's losing the Geist, countered the Searing Spear, and there's 6 power coming the other way.
Right. And this is what I was saying right before that play happened. If I was in VD's position, I would just try to be as conservative as possible.
I agree with you. I think that
just so far ahead.
Let him kill it.
How did that knight die?
How did what knight die?
It's indestructible. Because of the defenses. Back up. That knight should be in play. So, one moment while we get that, presumably get that taken care of. Hopefully we have not gone too far here. Yeah, often is, in my opinion, worth being over the top conservative with some of your sequencing when you're so far ahead that you can only lose to a card that you can't even
imagine.
You don't even know what the card is, but there could be something.
Oh look, mysteriously a knight has appeared. They're populated.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we got that settled. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, we got a game now. Vini's gonna fall to 10.
Are those human knights?
Yes.
So if he falls to 10, you know, a well-placed something could give him a mayor kill? Is it possible?
It's hard. He's got to find some way to induce the Staticaster or kill it.
I think that I would have played 2 of his 1 toughness creatures to get the maybe get the Staticaster starting to tap.
Well, the problem is his hand is Mayor, Knight, and 2 copies of Avacyn's Pilgrim, so there's no way to do it because he kills both the Avacyn's Pilgrim because of like deal 1, 2. Yeah. So even if he goes,
because they're dubs
yeah. Otherwise, if Staticaster didn't have that power, all right, we have a detention sphere. Looks like we're gonna sweep with the tokens.
No fun. This game was fun for a second.
Yeah.
Back to no fun.
You know, with the Oblivion Ring and the Restoration Angel, the game still goes on because I don't think VD has anything else left. But
he doesn't have any tool.
All right, so Vidianto Wijaya wins 2 games to 1 to advance to 2-1. Beating Barrett Kroeger. Barrett putting his hand